it going, everyone? Today we're going to be doing a little bit of a chick update, as well as discussing whether you should build or buy your chicken coop for this season, and a couple different things to consider when you're trying to make up your mind. Now, if you watched my little homestead tour I did a couple weeks ago, I said that I was going to convert a shack that was already on property into a chicken coop. But obviously behind me, you see a chicken coop. So what happened? What changed? Well, mainly it was because I didn't think far enough ahead to realize that the chicken coop would be right next to my 100-yard line of my shooting range. And since I don't think that chickens enjoy gunfire too much, I figure we should probably come up with a better solution to put them somewhere else on the property. And in comes the Silcox chicken coop. I believe that's their name. I'll link their Facebook down below. Now, this is a great option if you live in the North Idaho, Western Montana area. These are very well-made chicken coops for a fairly reasonable price. When you consider the fact that most, even decent Chinese ones, still cost about $1,000, this one is very appealing because it comes in fairly well below $1,000. So let's take a closer look at this thing before I get rained on. This is a very, very well-made coop. These are a handmade coop. Every single one of them, they're not just churned out in a factory somewhere. Along the bottom, all the way around, is pressure-treated 2x4s, so they're not going to rot, they're not going to go away. All the wood that's in here is basically construction materials. While, no, you're probably not going to want to live inside of a chicken coop, this is still made with stuff that is used in building your house. Now, looking around here, you can see that it's very well thought out. The nesting box, or nesting boxes, excuse me, along the top here, you can see how the roofing has been bent up to prevent any leakages, as well as there's been some caulking done around here to once again prevent any leaks. The door itself is pretty heavy. It's probably, I don't know, somewhere between 5 and 10 pounds, so let's call it 8 pounds. Doubt we're going to have anyone getting in there. Now, looking on the front of it, we got the nice door with the cute little chicken, excuse me, full-grown chick, and then a nice window that came out of, I believe, a trailer, they told me. Now, looking on the inside, you can see that we have some poles for roosting, and then on the bottom here, this is not just black paint. This is something similar to a truck bed liner, but you can see that we're going to put linoleum on the inside here. But they did think ahead, and they did pre-cut the corners here. That way, if the customer did want to put linoleum across the bottom, they wouldn't have to cut all the way through here in order to, be able to scrape everything out. So that's thinking ahead, that's thinking for the customer, and I really like that. Now, there is an extra ventilation point besides the window, and that is over here. Now, I'm kind of questioning if this is enough ventilation or not. We shall see. But for the time being, going into spring, I'm sure it's going to be just fine. Now, looking over here in their little run area where they're going to be able to run around when they're closed up in here, you can see that the door is on a nice string, on a nice pulley, and the door is fairly heavily weighted. Let's see. I'm going to say it's around 5 pounds, so not bad. Once again, doubt we're going to have any critters getting inside there. But the idea of a mobile coop, once again, is to move it around every once in a while. But that's not what we're going to do. Since I only have 6 birds, and I want them to be able to, not necessarily free range, but be able to range a little bit, I don't want to keep them cooped up inside here all day long unless I absolutely have to. So, with that being said, let me take you over to the new chicken location. Alright, so this is the new location where we're going to be putting the chicks. You can see that there's a nice hill. We're going to be able to fence pretty much this entire area, and they're going to have a very large area for them to walk around, dig up, scrape up, and just have a really good time. Now, the reason this is fairly appealing, and more so than just wheeling that out and putting it somewhere out on the property, is it's very close to electricity, especially during a power outage. We get power outages fairly frequently, and being as I don't want to put only the coop on an off-grid system, I'm going to want to tie it into my generator if the power goes down and if we need power. Well, my generator's at the top of the hill, as well as obviously the majority of the outlets on the property, being as they're tied to the house. So putting the chicken coop closer to the house makes a lot more sense than having it way out somewhere on the property. Another reason I like having them closer to the house is I'm going to be able to monitor them a little bit closer. I understand that some people will just get a whole big flock, let them free range, and if Mother Nature takes a couple birds, she takes a couple birds. But if I'm able to, keep an eye on them, take a look at them every once in a while, I'll be able to notice if there are any predators, either air or ground, that may be coming for them. Because a lot of my neighbors, unfortunately, don't tend to keep their dogs locked up, and let's just say I'm not going to let them get to my birds. So take that for what you will. Like anything else on a homestead, you need to figure out what the cost-benefit analysis would be. For this, I'm going to guesstimate that the materials would cost somewhere around $400 to $450. Now, paying around twice that to get the coop delivered to me, I don't think it's too outrageous, especially when you consider the quality and the time it would take to build it. Now, if you're someone that has a lot of free time on your hands and is very, very handy and very crafty, you could probably build something just this nice, depending on how much time you're willing to put into it. Once again, if you're on a time crunch, like I kind of am, I'm not necessarily on too big of a time crunch, but I want to be able to get a coop situated before these birds get too big inside my house. If you're in a time crunch like that, you may not have the time to build a coop. So looking at something like this isn't necessarily a bad option. Yes, it does cost quite a bit more than if you were to just build it yourself. But again, how much time are you going to be putting into building that? And how much heartache and how much effort, so on and so forth. Just figure it out for yourself and figure, is something like this appropriate for you, or is something built by yourself more appropriate for you? Another thing to consider is how large your coop is going to be and whether you want it to be mobile or not. For myself, I'm able to just put all 6 chicks inside here, call it a party. And I would say if you have up to about 10 chicks, you would probably do okay with a coop this size. However, if you're going to have 15, 20, 30, 40 plus chicks, you're probably going to want to have something a little bit more substantial and a little bit more permanent. And the reason I say permanent is because you're probably not going to want to be wheeling around a giant, massive coop any bigger than this. Like, I'll show you. I'm a 21-year-old guy, fairly strong, and I can move it okay, but I'll tell you, I could probably move that about 100 yards before I'm pooping out for a little while. So if you want to kind of be a little bit practical and you want to have a large flock on top of that, you would want it to probably be stationary, not only because of the weight, not only because of the maneuverability aspect, but also think of the birds. Do you really think it's going to be too nice for them, too fair for them to be moving around, jostling around inside there, every couple of days? It's one thing if you have, like I said, 5, 6 birds inside here and you're just able to kind of cart them around. It's a different thing if it's going to be a whole big ordeal because you have a really big coop that you want it to be mobile. So another thing to consider, whether you want it to be mobile or not, as well as the size. Another idea that I just thought about walking up to the house is you could get a dog kennel and modify it. Something like the chain link fence style of dog kennel. You could buy them on Amazon for a couple $100, put it together. The one thing to consider, especially if you live in an area that gets snow, is those things are probably not going to do too well in the snow. And on top of that, you want a place for your birds to go outside if it does snow, and those things not having a roof isn't too well suited for, having birds outside during the snow. But if you live a little bit southern, if you live in an area that doesn't get too much snow, doesn't get any snow, may just get a little rain, that could be a very economical and easy option for you. And I said we're doing a chick update. They are getting a new brooder. This is a 6x3x3 stock tank. I think those are the measurements, but it's a stock tank. Should fit inside the bathroom. Hopefully it fits inside the bathroom. We shall see, but yeah, I'm going to fight getting this thing inside the house, and I'll meet you guys inside. Can someone put some very appropriate circus music over top of this right now, please? Thank you. Much obliged. I apologize for the cluttered view, but we did get the stock tank in here without too much issue. The main reason we're upgrading is just because of all the stuff happening inside the main brooder, or the first brooder. Pretty much all the chicks, with the exception of 2, are inside of a dirt box right now. I just added a box with a whole bunch of native soil, that way they can take dirt baths, get used to the soil before we take them outside. But with that addition, there's very little room for them when you include the feeder, the waterer, plus the stuff that I've been adding to try and prevent them from getting food and water all thrown about the brooder. So they need a little extra space, and this is going to do them perfect. Now, I'm not too concerned about the transition, moving them into this brooder, because they have been acting as if, even the light as high up as it is right now, I did raise it up. Even now, they're acting as if they're getting too warm, so I don't think they're going to have too much issue transitioning into here. After all, it's not like they're going outside just yet, so they should be fine. But with that, I'm just going to line the bottom with pine shavings, get everything transferred over, and then we're going to start moving chicks over. Stuff has been transferred over except for the dirt box and the chicks, so we are going to move those over next. They have really been liking the dirt box, so I didn't want to take it from them just yet. Okay. You guys are getting pretty big, if you ask me. Well, with that, you guys, I hope you enjoyed the video and the brief chick update. If you did, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. I'm posting every Friday. It's going to be something a little different every Friday, so maybe a chick update, maybe a homestead update, maybe a gun video. Who knows? It's just whatever I decide to film throughout the week. So with that, thank you for watching. Think for yourself. Shoot straight. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, hit the little bell icon, and I will see you next time. Chirp, chirp.